If I believe it though, yeah. Being in this space, I know I gotta hold my hope down. Seeing what it takes, I gotta know that I can show how. Questioning myself if I believe it though. No longer question if I'm really a believer though. Now you should take into account that my account can build my belief. Take into account I must account for what I really think. Being in the space, I learn to see. I only ever make what every day I can believe. I gotta go. This the only life I know. I believe it in my mind, so I know it's time to show. It's the only vibe to go. I do believe it. Do you believe it? That's it. Are you a believer till the end? When you're from the low, can you believe in it again? No longer ever questioning yourself if you believe it though. You never questioning yourself if you believe it though. Now there's one thing about the future, you should know that you deserve it all. Landing on the moon, take a belief that's going vertical. Being in the space, I learn to see. I only ever make what every day I can believe. I gotta go. It's the only life I know. I believe it in my mind, so I know it's time to show. It's the only vibe to go. I do believe it. Do you believe it? I gotta go. It's the only life I know. I believe it in my mind, so I know it's time to show. It's the only vibe to go. I do believe it. Do you believe it? Made up in my mind, it's believable. Saw it at the time, it's achievable. Now I got the drive, get the key to go. Got the key to go. If I believe it though, yeah. Made up in my mind, it's believable. Saw it at the time, it's achievable. Now I got the drive, get the key to go. Got the key to go. If I believe it though, yeah. Now I got the drive, now I got the drive. Now I believe inside, I believe inside.
Since the creation of the internet, every industry has been turned upside down. Amazon changed retail. Uber changed transportation. YouTube changed video forever. With the invention of crypto, money is next. At the speed technology is growing, the future of money and securities are digital. 9 out of 10 millennials do not trust banks. The value of money relies on trust. Government debt is higher than it's ever been before. Central banks continue to print money. Fortunately, the world has a new solution. Experts predict in 7 years, 10% of the world's economy will be in crypto-based assets. Today, 1 billion people have access to the financial industry. Crypto is about empowering the other 6 billion people by banking the unbanked. Do not underestimate this. Do you wish you invested in Google, Amazon, or Netflix before anyone ever knew about them? $1,000 invested in Netflix turned to over $500,000. At Token Metrics, we help you find the next Netflix. Token Metrics users think differently about investing. They are early adopters looking for financial freedom. They are people who see a better world. A world without international borders. We believe in a world where everyone has access to the next financial revolution. At Token Metrics, we are creating a bridge that gets you to that revolution. We will help you make sound investments in this new world. The world's best investors do not rely on their intuition. They embrace technology and AI to invest. Token Metrics uses AI to find invisible patterns in data to help you invest and trade in crypto. In the past, we have used our data-driven system to achieve financial freedom. Now, we are giving you the keys. We created Token Metrics to be the only platform you'll ever need to make money in crypto. We give you AI and access to crypto experts at the best price. The moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond.
Disclaimer. Token Metrics Media LLC does not provide individually tailored investment advice and does not take a subscriber's or anyone's personal circumstance into consideration when discussing investments, nor is it registered as an investment advisor or broker-dealer in any jurisdiction. Information contained herein is not an offer or solicitation to buy, hold, or sell any security. The Token Metrics team has advised and invested in many blockchain companies. A complete list of their advisory roles and current holdings can be viewed here at tokenmetrics.com/disclosures.
All right. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to the Token Metrics live stream. In today's show, we'll be going through March. Is this the best March for crypto? We'll go through, give you a crypto market update with Bill. We'll also be doing very deep, realistic price predictions with Forrest, and we'll answer your questions via the AMA. It's going to be quite the show. $60,000 Bitcoin. Is Ethereum going back to 2K? Where's crypto going? Let's get into it. Bill and Forrest, welcome. How are you guys?
Ian, hi. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Ian, doing well.
Awesome. So welcome. I think let's hop straight into it. It's been quite the month. Stimulus checks are coming in. People are excited. People are getting vaccinated. The economy seems to be slowly ramping up. Bill, so how's the week so far in crypto?
All right. Well, crypto is rocking, in many ways. And I think there are a lot of things that we need to tell our readers and our listeners about how the future in crypto is now, right? Particularly with Uncle Sugar handing out money. All right. Everybody knows and everybody is going to expect those checks on a quarterly basis. So with the printing press whirling as the background music, I will ask a question. How big can all of crypto get? I remember reading an article shown on your screen from a hedge fund called Multicoin Capital in Austin, Texas. This was written close to the absolute bottom of the bear market when the crypto world, was in a state of total despair. Now, it's got a fantastic headline of $100 trillion. That's what their prediction or their imagination told them that crypto assets, the market for crypto assets to go to, okay? Notice I'm not saying that the altcoin that you and your brother decided to buy in your basement. No. All of crypto assets. Specifically, let me read you the last paragraph. Crypto is massively market expansionary. Example, how many people thought Uber's addressable market was just the size of the pre-Uber taxi market? Everybody who took Uber never took a taxi before. So their addressable market was way bigger than anyone thought. Just as the market for crypto is way bigger than anyone thinks. And then second, write the last sentence, crypto will absorb the monetary premium for many non-money assets. What's a non-money asset? Well, how about a Batman cartoon as an NFT? Any non-money assets that act as an inflationary hedge. In other words, what can I buy that will go up and help me pay my bills or feel wealthier when everything else is making me feel poorer? In research, you get paid for imagination. So let's imagine how big crypto can get. This is a chart of Bitcoin market cap weekly. So The number of Bitcoin currently out there times its price. Bitcoin recently made headlines for reaching $1 trillion in market cap. And there were lots of gyrations and a correction around that. And everyone was like, oh my God, it's worth $1 trillion. What are we going to do? When's the bear market coming? When anybody's talking about a bear market, buy. When nobody's talking about a bear market, sell. But we're not there yet. So I took a look at this and I drew some technical analysis, and I was like, well, Bitcoin's market cap could 1x from here and go to 1.8 trillion. And if it really goes wild, it could go to 3 trillion. Now, I know that there are a lot of grandiose price predictions out there, and we're actually doing some analytical work to counter some of, the absurd things that are out there. But it's not out of the question to think that Bitcoin can go higher, particularly since our quantitative teams have noted that bigger players are using things called put options to protect against a decline in Bitcoin. That's right. Even the people who own Bitcoin are worried it's going to go down. And one thing you need to remember in bull markets is bull markets climb the wall of worry. So the more people worry, the higher it goes. I know that's a little bit of a brain bender. All right. The market climbs the wall of worry. Speaking of the wall of worry, let's talk Ethereum. For God's sakes, people, it's only got $175 billion valuation. I'm sorry, roughly 200 billion. I won't do the mathematics of what 200 billion divided by 100 trillion is. It's pretty small compared to that prediction. I'm sure you won't be surprised to know that an ETH maximalist group like us thinks that, ETH market cap could easily go and double to like 360 billion. And I think $600 billion market cap is achievable in this market cycle. Now, let's talk tactical price targets. The old all-time high in ETH was about 1,400. Ethereum broke through that, came back down, paid 1,400 a visit again. It held as support. That is usually a very bullish sign. And when I use diagonal targeting using the work of a guy named William Gann, I'm getting the idea that Ethereum could go to like 2,900 between now and April. Now, this interesting graph comes from our quantitative department. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, I'll read the graph for you. The Ethereum options market thinks there's less than a 25% chance that Ethereum will be above 2,500 in December, as in ho, 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 Christmas, holiday time. I'm thinking 2,900 by tax day, and the options market, who is climbing the wall of worry along with everyone else, doesn't believe ETH can take out 2,500 by December. In other words, ETH could catch everyone sleeping. The whole crypto market could catch everyone sleeping, thinking that, oh, well, this is over and I'm too late and I missed it. So, oh, well. No, of course not. Our readers will know that I tell everybody every week ad nauseum, you're not too late. You're not too early. You're right on time. Okay. The market doesn't believe ETH can go above 2,500. And I think the market is wrong. Now, there's been a lot of talk about a coin called Cardano. Cardano competes in the Ethereum ecosystem. As far as I know, the number one reason for Cardano to go up is that most people hate it. Sometimes it works that way, right? Cardano is something new. It's about to come online, but it is a long, long, long way from becoming Ethereum. But because people hate it, there were no sellers because no one owned it. So when everybody came in to buy it all at once, it went up. Well, as you can see, I'm not showing the chart of Cardano. I'm showing you the chart of the Cardano of the monetary universe in crypto. It's the chart of Litecoin. I know my boss hates it when I talk about Litecoin, but Litecoin is nothing more than slightly faster Bitcoin with a catchier name. And Bitcoin has obviously done very well because of institutional buying, and Litecoin has done not a whole lot. I think it's time for Litecoin to catch up because I think retail investors who discover what Litecoin is are going to dig it. It's kind of like light beer. This chart shows that Litecoin could easily get to 300. And if there's a big move in this market, like I anticipate, Litecoin could go to 900. In other words, retail could buy Litecoin via PayPal and related apps until it gets to a price that's no longer visually appealing. So don't underestimate what things that are not necessarily popular with like the smart crypto crowd. Don't underestimate what those things can do on the upside, because there are a lot of people who are ringing my phone who are watching this show right now. And one of the first things that they told their friends to buy was Litecoin. They bought Litecoin. It went up 10% in one day. And the next thing you know, they had the crypto bug. So even if you don't like Litecoin, there are lots of things out there like Litecoin that people can buy to get the crypto bug. And outside the world of crypto, there are lots of people who are starting to get the feeling, right? Okay, now let's talk about Polkadot. What's Polkadot? I don't know. Let's call it Web3 using the blockchain. It's kind of like Ethereum, except it has the ability, I don't know, to create multiple different kinds of blockchains, allowing for lots of connectivity and lots of applications. Okay? Here's the catch about Polkadot. It's really cool, but it's conceptual. It's not online yet. Okay? Now, that might mean you go, wait a minute, you mean this is conceptual? It's not there yet it's one of the biggest cryptocurrency projects out there? And I'm like, yes, it is. So even though a lot of people like Polkadot, how do you value something that's theoretical? How do you value something based on cool factor? Or how do you limit the value of something that moves on cool factor? I don't know. You can't limit cool factor, particularly if people really, really get into it. So I'm looking at the chart of Polkadot, and to make a long story short, Polkadot made a consolidation in a square and a consolidation in a triangle. Throughout this bull market, we've seen that type of thing happen, and that's normally what we call a pre-moon setup. So in Polkadot, if it takes out 38, it can go to 50. And if we really get into the FOMO, it can go to 80. 50 probably is more realistic, but you cannot discount a target for Polkadot of 80. Now, let's look at some coins that run on Polkadot, like Polkastarter. What's Polkastarter do? Well, again, it's theoretical. Polkastarter doesn't really exist because Polkadot doesn't exist. Polkastarter, as I understand it, and I'm sure I'll get corrected in the comments if wrong, is like a vehicle for raising money using the Polkadot system. Now, this has gone from $1 to $7 and came back to 3.5. What's it worth? I don't know. It can go up until the last person buys it. So the way I look at the chart is if it takes out 5.3, it could go back to 7. Or if we really get into it, Polkastarter might take off for 11. You might ask, well, why would Polkastarter go to 11? And the question I asked myself when I looked at the chart, honestly, was, well, why not? If no one thinks Ethereum can go up and Ethereum is the real deal, wouldn't it be funny if the theoretical coins like Polkadot and related instruments also took off? So maybe it's like Bitcoin goes, then Ethereum goes, then it's Polkadot that follows. Okay. I'm looking at PHA. Okay. Fala, I believe is the name. And I'm watching these Elliott wave formations where you have it start and then it stops. It starts and then it stops. It starts and then it stops. So it's like winding up the spring, winding up the spring, winding up the spring. I see this across a lot of coins, and this one is in the Polkadot universe. So you can't underestimate not only Polkadot, but the coins in the Polkadot universe to continue higher. Okay. A lot of people may think that this is over, and a lot of them, again, who made money, and they're taking their money and they're selling, and that's good. You should pay yourself when you're right. But I'm noticing that buyers are coming in who want to participate. They're taking it from the profit takers. Now, speaking of profit takers, let's go to NFT. What's an NFT? A non-fungible token. What's a non-fungible token? I don't know. How about your little brother's baseball cards or Pokemon cards virtually, digitally, online, sold as art? Now, this is a chart of Rarible. It's a platform where they sell NFTs or art. I would go back to what Multicoin said about Uber. Obviously, there's a market out there for art. Paintings of famous artists, sculptures. Most people do not buy and sell art. Just like most people don't take taxis unless they're going to the airport. Well, what would happen if you opened up the market for art, and art included, I don't know, a video clip of Michael Jordan dunking over Patrick Ewing, or famous basketball players like LeBron James making game-winning shots? Or how about some artist who comes out of nowhere with a unique style and makes an animation and all of a sudden becomes more popular than anyone could imagine? What happens if artists who release music don't have to go through iTunes and can go directly to the public? So on that note, let's look at Rarible. Now, Rarible has gone up a lot. It has gone from nothing to $40. It's making a big move today. And what I would say about this is, if Rarible moves to 41 and it stays above 41, in other words, this move today is not some kind of like emotional, oh my God, I got to have NFTs, they're going up forever. Because mind you, folks, you have to be careful of that, right? Because who makes money in comic books? The comic book stores like Rarible, or the comic book collectors who buy it for $2 or $10 and watch it go to 100 or 1,000 over a period of years? It's the collectors. Now, that said, if people just want into NFTs, even though they've mooned, I want to keep an eye on these charts, because again, if the cryptoverse can expand and tokenize a wide variety of things, real estate, art, etc., these NFTs are going to be the key charts to watch. Okay. Theta, another token, I believe, in the NFT universe, sitting conveniently at a chart point around $7.33 and not really moving away from it. And it has the stop, start thing that we talked about was a prelude to a bigger move. So if Theta manages to take out $7.33, I don't see any reason why it can't move to 15. Is there an argument NFTs are overbaked? Of course. Of course there is. right? It's Pokemon cards online. I get it. But the thing is, what happens if it continues? What happens if NFTs continue to ramp up? What does that mean for the tokenization of other assets? Excess in one part of the market can lead to expansion of the same concept elsewhere. So how does again, the total crypto market cap is about 2 trillion. What's the move? What's the catalyst for the move from 2 to 10 or 2 to 5? It's not just Bitcoin and Ethereum, but it could be the tokenization of other assets. Okay. Chili's, right? Another NFT token that has gone from 10 cents to $1, giving you a 10x. It recently retraced to a key chart point around 60 cents. Now, is it time to take your money and go home? Is it time to pay yourself? If you bought it at 5 cents and it went to $1, probably. But what happens if everybody shows up at 60 cents and wants in? What does that mean for NFTs? What does that mean for crypto? To me, if buyers show up on these NFT charts, even though they've already mooned, it's telling you that the whole crypto market can go up way more than anyone thinks. Let me say that again, way more than anyone thinks. Okay, Mana, Decentraland. Okay, goes way up, starts at 10 cents, goes to $1. What else is new in NFTs, right? But looky here, everyone sells, but when it comes back down, it seems to be finding support around 92 cents, even with the market down today. So if 92 cents holds, there's room to go to $1.05. Now, again, if NFTs are done, who cares, right? I showed you some charts. I took up 10 minutes of your bandwidth, whatever, right? But what happens if these things get buyers on dips or find buyers on dips even after they've 10x'd? Well, it tells you there's more to the NFT trade, obviously, but it may also give you a much broader idea about crypto itself. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the market update.
All right. Thank you, Bill. That was definitely a great market update. If you enjoyed that, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and share the stream with your friend. We do have a Menti code. If you would like to go and post any questions, go to menti.com, menti.com. Use the code 58876646. That's 58876646. And tell us what you think about the market update. Okay, so now let's segue straight into price predictions with Forrest. Forrest?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump right into our Chainlink price prediction. All right, so Chainlink has been a very popular token for quite a while now. It made its name going on a huge run in a bear market last year, back in the summer of 2020. Now, the whole point of these realistic scenario models is to ground ourselves and give ourselves a standing point to where we can get an understanding of what a realistic price scenario is for Chainlink. So when somebody says Chainlink's going to $5,000 in the next year or so, we can say, well, no, maybe not, because the math doesn't check out, and what would have to happen for that to go to $5,000, it's not realistic or feasible. So let's just kind of ground ourselves first and take a look at where Chainlink's been trading at recently. So the time of earlier today, when I took this screenshot, Chainlink's trading at roughly $29. Now, I've mentioned this before in videos and on the last live stream. Chainlink has a beautiful linear trend line on a logarithmic chart. And when you have a linear trend line on a logarithmic chart, that equates to exponential growth, right? And occasionally what Chainlink does is it comes up and it bubbles up and enters a period of overvaluation against this trend line, right? And it's done so roughly 3 or 4 times in the last year or two. The first bubble, before we really even had this trend line to go off of, the trend line hadn't even developed yet, gave us a 700% overvaluation against the trend line. The next one, 133%. The following one, back in 2020, 254% overvalued against this trend line. And most recently, we topped out at roughly 129% overvaluation against the trend line. Now we can just simply say if this trend continues, and we just put a kind of an arbitrary target of July, because that could be the soonest point at which the total cryptocurrency market could top out at. Now, I think the bull market could go much longer than July. But that's kind of the earliest point at which we would expect it to. And we gave ourselves a price target of $90. Let's just say Chainlink went to $90. What kind of overvaluation against this trend line would that be? And would that overvaluation against this trend line be realistic based on what we've seen historically? And the answer is yes. In July, if we saw a $90 Chainlink, we would only be 130% overvalued against the trend line that it's been on for well over a year, right? Now, we've also had these much bigger overvaluations. This one was 254%. So could Chainlink go even higher than this? Yeah, absolutely, in my opinion. And then we can also just take the timelines in between these peaks, right? This first one from peak to peak was 231 days. The next one was 180 days, 189 days. Well, if we used like the last week of July, we'd be getting 161 days. So maybe you could even argue August could be the next time that Chainlink makes a peak, because that would be roughly 180, 190 days out. And that's what the pattern that we've been seeing so far in this trend line. Now, we can also take a look at Chainlink's dominance over time. And Chainlink's dominance, if you're not familiar with what dominance means, it's just a way of measuring market share against the total cryptocurrency market capitalization, or total cryptocurrency market cap, which happens to be roughly $1.8 trillion today. Now, Chainlink has also been on a pretty solid linear trend line up until recently, where we had this massive bubble, and maybe you could argue somewhat of an overcorrection, right? When things get so overvalued, usually they slam down pretty hard. So we popped back above it, and now we're below the trend line right now. Well, what we can do is construct several different scenarios for, say, July or so. That would, let us construct a matrix based off of these 5 different scenarios for what Chainlink's dominance could go to. Now, I think Chainlink's dominance, if we keep seeing if we keep seeing smart contract networks and DeFi rule the roost for the cryptocurrency market as a whole, maybe Chainlink gets beaten down to 0.5%, right? That'd be a bear scenario. Maybe we, go back up and maybe don't make it quite up to the trend line again, but we get to a 0.75% dominance for Chainlink. Maybe we go above the trend line and we have these other more bullish scenarios built in for that. Now, if we're going to cross-reference these scenarios to extrapolate a price, we also have to construct some scenarios for the total cryptocurrency market cap, right? Which also, the cryptocurrency market as a whole is also increasing on a linear trend line on a logarithmic scale. So the cryptocurrency market cap as a whole, the crypto space, is increasing exponentially. Now, we also see these bubbles up off of the trend line on occasion. Back in 2013, 2014, we saw a 1,600% overvaluation against the trend line. In the last market cycle, 2017 and 2018, when Bitcoin ran up to $19,700 and Ethereum topped out at $1,400, we saw an overvaluation against this trend line of 2,600%. Now, we are currently on a 6-month trend right here, a secondary trend up, bubbling up off of this trend line that by July, if we maintain this trajectory, would put us at roughly a $5 trillion market cap for the total cryptocurrency space, right? Now, if we outpaced that, or it took even longer, the market cycle lasted past July and continued on this trend, maybe we get to $10 trillion this year, right? Now, if we start getting a little bit crazy and saying 50 trillion, within the next couple months to next year, this year, that's a little bit less realistic, right? A more bearish scenario would be $3 trillion. Well, if we just take our $10 trillion scenario and just do a gut check, right? Is this realistic? How far overvalued against the trend line would we be in July if we hit a $10 trillion market cap, total cryptocurrency market cap? 1,500%, which is in line with what we've seen before. Now, there is such thing as lengthening market cycle theory that, says that these gains are going to decrease over time. So, 1,500%, somewhat realistic. All right, so let's take our Chainlink scenarios, our Chainlink dominant scenarios, and cross-reference them with our total cryptocurrency market cap scenarios. And all we're doing here is we're taking our market dominance, we're multiplying by our cryptocurrency market cap scenario, and then we're dividing by the total number of Chainlink tokens in existence to extrapolate a price scenario. So our most, and remember, Chainlink's trading right now at roughly $29. So our most bearish scenario for Chainlink is $36. And in order for Chainlink to be at $36, we'd be taking our most bearish scenario, our $3 trillion total cryptocurrency market cap scenario, with our most bearish Chainlink market dominant scenario. So in this scenario, cryptocurrency market cap continues to rise from $1.8 trillion where it's at today up to $3 trillion, but Chainlink gets crowded out by a lot of these DeFi plays and drops from the market dominance where it's at today down to 0.5%. Well, now let's take a look at what's the most bullish scenario for Chainlink. Well, if we take our $10 trillion market cap scenario and we cross-reference that with our 1.5% market dominance scenario for Chainlink, we could see a Chainlink of $364. Do I think that's likely? No, I don't think it's likely. Do I think it's possible or plausible? Yes. Based on the math, if these two things happen, that would essentially be the price of Chainlink. And I think both of these things have the possibility of happening simultaneously. Is it likely that the stars are going to align for Chainlink? Maybe not. But is it possible? Absolutely. Now let's actually go back to visualize what that would look like. The $10 trillion market cap up here, a 1,500% overvaluation against the trend line. And for dominance, we'd see Chainlink having to come all the way back up here for another rally to 1.5%. Well, Chainlink's been to 2% before, so why can't it go back to 1.5%? I think it could. But we know our trend line is down here. So maybe it goes to 1% in a more realistic scenario. So if you had to ask me, Forrest, what is your price prediction, your realistic price prediction for Chainlink this market cycle? Well, I like this $5 trillion total cryptocurrency market cap scenario, and I like 1% because that's pretty close to the trend line for Chainlink. That would be a cryptocurrency or a Chainlink price of $121. Now, some people like looking at charts as opposed to tables. This is just the exact same data in a chart format. Up here, up top, we've got our $10 trillion market cap, $10 trillion total cryptocurrency market cap scenario with our corresponding prices depending on our Chainlink dominance scenarios down here. In the middle, you've got the $5 trillion scenario, and in the bottom, in the red here, we've got our more bearish $3 trillion scenario. All right. So, in my opinion, $91 to $121 Chainlink is somewhat reasonable. And why do I say 91 to 121? Well, sometimes I like to kind of cross-reference what happens if in our middle scenario, the scenario that I think is going to manifest, $121. What happens if the worst case scenario happens for Chainlink, but the best case scenario happens for our total cryptocurrency market cap? Well, actually, it works out to be $121 up here too. What about, cryptocurrency market cap doesn't do well, but Chainlink does do well, $109. So we're getting, multiple hits here in this matrix for 91, 109, 91, 121, 121. We're getting a lot of hits in this $91 to $121 range. So that's my prediction for Chainlink this market cycle. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Forrest. If you enjoyed those price predictions, be sure to smash the like button and share this video with your friends. Okay. All right. Let's get to the question of the day. Okay, so question of the day is, do you think the $1,400 stimulus checks will blow up the crypto market? The options are: 1, yes; second option, no; third option, it's hard to say. Bill, what do you think about the stimulus checks? Do you think it's gonna blow up the crypto market?
I would say no, because everyone probably expects that to happen. I think what's going to blow up the crypto market is that they're going to have to do it again and again and again. So it's not that the 1,400 is going to go straight into crypto, although I'm sure it is. But the fact that they're going to have to keep doing it is the real issue.
All right. Fair point. Forrest, what do you think?
Yeah, so not to get too philosophical or dive too deep into economics. That was my area of study in college. We're printing a lot of money right now. The money supply, I think, is over doubled in the last 14 months or so. That's going to put a lot of downwards pressure, I think, on the value of the dollar, the DXY. Usually, historically, we've seen Bitcoin and other stores of value, other hedges against inflation, do well when the value of the dollar drops. So using that just base level economics understanding of logic, and obviously economics gets incredibly complicated, but just using the base level view, I think what Bill's talking about, where they're going to have to just keep printing money, people are going to start worrying about inflation. And when they worry about inflation, where do they put their money? Well, historically gold, but now you've got this new Bitcoin thing. And I think Bitcoin has been touted as an excellent store of value. And yeah, I think we're going to see people throwing their money into Bitcoin to protect against potential inflation.
All right, so a few comments here from the audience. Golden West Studio says stimulus adds liquidity. Then McLovin says everyone is going to the dispensary with the stimulus check. Then Next Level says this is the last stimulus. Okay, interesting. Candid News says inflation will lead to crypto exploding. All right, and then Crypto Elf says last stimulus. Yeah, right. There will be a fourth and a fifth and a sixth, and then UBI. And then Pink Line says, I agree with Bill. Money printing will blow up crypto. Yeah, I think that this is pretty interesting because when does this stop? Because they're kind of heading down a path where they have to keep on printing more money and more money and more money. And I think what Crypto Elf said does kind of make sense. Eventually, this could just becomes UBI, where pretty much the government, central banks are just giving out money. The people will be losing their wealth through inflation. So I think it's good for crypto because I think people are now trying to find ways to preserve their wealth and grow their wealth, as opposed to having to rely on the government or the economy. Okay, let's see what people have to say. Go to menti.com, menti.com, and put in the code 58876646. Okay, so let's see what people chose. All right, yes, people think this will blow up the crypto market. All right, let us know what you think down below. Let's go to Thought of the Week. What are the top NFT projects to watch in 2021? NFTs have been blowing up. They're now surpassed DeFi in terms of popularity online. Okay, so here we have 8 projects. So the projects are Coco's BCX, Chromia, Chili's, Ecomi, EngineCoin, Eternity Chain, Flow, and Terra Virtual Collect. 8 projects. Let us know what you think. If you had to pick one of these projects to invest in, obviously not financial advice, in 2021, what project would you pick? Let us know down below in the comments. Forrest, which project do you like here the most in terms of NFTs?
Yeah, so I like some projects that aren't even listed on there. I took a look at Coco's BCX the other day to do just some initial fundamental analysis on it, and it looks really solid. Again, I only took a cursory glance at it, but it looks like it could be a solid project, and I'm excited to see what a code review could return for that project.
All right, Bill, how about you?
Okay. I would say, it's not a really good environment to fade you on anything that you were recommending, say, a year ago. So there's this sort of no-brainer answer of Flow, because they managed to revive the NBA single-handedly with their trading card and video product. And then the one that I looked at on charts that I thought was really interesting was Chiliz, right? It looks like everyone kind of sold it when it went up and people just sort of unloaded and left. And frequently those projects can turn around and go up again. The one that's not on the list that I was sort of looking at that was interesting was Rarible, because I'm wondering how big the art market can really get. I'm thinking really, really big. So maybe I'm late to the game, but that's what I would do on NFTs.
Yeah, so I'd also have to probably agree with you. I think out of all the NFT projects we have reviewed, the one I like the most and the one that our blockchain engineers love the most is Flow. Flow has really led the movement, right? The most widely used dApp in all of the NFT space is NBA Top Shot, and that's running on the Flow blockchain. And at this point, I'm pretty sure other leagues are knocking down their doors wanting to copy NBA Top Shot, because that's just printing money for the NBA. Actually, I think there's a project that's also working with the NFL. Maybe the audience can help me with this. I'm not sure if it's Ecomi or some other project that's trying to do NFTs with the NFL, but I know all the major leagues are definitely going to get into this. And then even Chiliz is working with soccer, football, and they're really taking that to the next level. But out of this list here, if I go back to my slides here, I do have Chromia, because I was an investor in their token sale back in 2018. And it's been pumping very, very well. Actually, I took some profits this week. About time it pumped. But if I had to pick one, I would pick Flow. The others, Ecomia, our team is still looking into that, I believe, right, Forrest? But the others don't really know too much. But let's see what the audience has to say. All right, and the audience has decided Flow is the top NFT project to watch in 2021. Runner-up, Engine Coin, and then Chiliz. Okay, let us know what you think. Do you think the audience is right? Do you think they were wrong? Let us know down below in the comments. Okay, all right, time for Crypto Showdown. What are the top altcoin picks for this month in March? The options are Polygon, Matic, Ava Labs, and Curve Token. Very, very interesting list here. I'm very, very bullish on Polygon Matic, as you guys know. But it finally got listed onto Coinbase, so it's definitely had quite the week, quite the month, really. But Bill, what does TA tell you out of these three different projects? Which one do you think will have the most upside this month?
All right, let me check it out here. Obviously, you have not made a living fading Matic or Polygon. Okay, so this got listed on Coinbase, and this is very much like what I've seen in other projects, right? So it gets listed on Coinbase, it moons from 20 cents to 55 cents, and then it comes back down and presses support around 36. Frankly, I don't see any reason why Matic can't go to 58 cents or even beyond. Now, why is that? Because my boss likes it? Well, not necessarily. Because I remember in 2019 when nothing was going up, as in nothing, and Matic pumped in that environment. So if Matic can pump when nothing was going on, it could continue to go, especially since Coinbase investors can get their hands on it. Okay. Ava, which is different from AVAX, is that correct?
No, Ava Labs, AVAX is the one.
AVAX.
AV.
Okay.
Yeah, AVAX. Or Avalanche, as it's called sometimes.
Okay. All right. So Avalanche, this play was unbelievable. I came on a talk show a couple months ago and said this was a top pick when it was like at 14. Honestly, I couldn't believe it mooned to 58. It looks like there are sellers coming into the market around 36. If it took out 36, that would be really bullish, but this is not exactly acting like a party that's going to never end. So it looks like when you go from 14 to 58, that may be all for the party, at least for the month. And what was the final symbol?
Curve, CRV.
Okay. Curve, a really interesting DeFi play, I believe. And one of the things that I think is interesting about this is that Curve managed to hit the 62% retracement of its big move higher. Now, there may be people out there in the world going, what the heck is a 62% retracement mean? Well, in English, here's what it is. A market will go up, and then it will kind of retrace 2/3, washing out week longs, testing people's conviction. This process of going up and then kind of almost all the way back down can be very constructive in crypto. So I think DeFi 2.0, or I'm sorry, DeFi 3.0 is inevitable. Okay. And I think Curve could go from, say, 238 all the way up to 563. So I think Curve is a 1x. So I would be very bullish on something like this, assuming a fundamental catalyst emerges. So here's how I would say it. If I had to do a 2-week trade, I might do Curve. If I had to do a 2-month or a 2-year trade, it's Matic Polygon.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Forrest, what do you think about these 3 projects from Polygon, Avalanche, and Curve?
I agree with Bill that Matic can continue to go higher. If I'm putting my money into something right now, I'm scared. I'm a little bit risk averse right now when it comes to Matic because of how much it's pumped lately. That being said, I'm a big fan of Curve right now because I'm looking at the chart right now. I've got it on the logarithmic view. There's a linear trend line on a logarithmic chart. And guess what? Curve is sitting on that trend line or pretty dang close to it. And I love picking stuff up when it's on the trend line. Not only that, Bill just mentioned the 62% retracement. It hasn't crashed down. It had a nice run up. It didn't just absolutely smash down. It found support, and it's been building support. Now, if you remember from last week, I think Bill mentioned Yearn Finance, and he had a pretty big prediction for Yearn Finance. Well, Yearn Finance has quite a few integrations with Curve DAO token. So right now, if Bill's bullish on Yearn Finance, and he just mentioned that potential catalyst for Curve, well, if Yearn Finance goes up and hits his price prediction, I think Curve is one that could also follow. So I would be picking Curve all day here.
All right, thank you, Forrest. I think people know I'm basically Team Polygon at this point because quite the move from meeting them in India back in 2018 to them launching on Binance and them, because I think I doubled down on my investment when Matic was around 10 cents. Once they basically that same day when they pivoted to Polygon and were trying to become interoperability for Ethereum. And to me, I think that's such a big use case for Ether and also for Polygon. And I think there's more adoption in the blockchain developer community with Polygon and Matic than there is with Ava Labs. So long term, I would probably still stick with Polygon. Now, short term, I'll probably just defer to Bill and Forrest. All right, so let's see what the audience has said. Let's see who the winner is for Crypto Showdown. Polygon. All right. So the audience thinks Polygon will keep on going up. Not financial advice. Tell us what you think. Do you think the audience is wrong? Tell us down below. Golden West says the audience is always right. Yeah. Yes, that's true. The audience is always right. Okay, time for crypto therapy. So, do you have any crypto questions you would like to ask? Call us at 1-888-90-TOKEN. That's 1-888-908-6536. Leave us a voicemail. Choose extension 1 for crypto therapy, and we'll pull in some questions from the live stream. Okay, all right. Let's see if we're getting any calls here. This is being brought to you by Ifani. Go to tokenmetrics.com/Ifani. It's a cell phone carrier for people on crypto. They help protect you from SIM swap hacks. I've been a customer of theirs for over a year now, and definitely good service. If you're in crypto and you're trying to make sure you're secure and safe, I highly recommend looking into Ifani. Okay, so let's see here. We're getting some calls.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I have a two-part question regarding NFTs. My first question is, what is the barrier for entry for NFT platforms? For example, what's to stop the NFL or some other talent agency to create their own NFT currencies or platforms? Second question is, outside of art and music, what's the next big real-world asset that's going to utilize NFTs? Could it be real estate? So thank you, guys. Also, on a side note, I'm in Austin tonight, and I look forward to attending your next in-person event. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that call. Okay, there are two questions in there. One was basically, what's the next big use case for NFTs, essentially, right? And then the other was, what's the barrier to entry for NFT platforms? Forrest, what do you think?
Yeah, so that's a pretty tough question to know. I know the NFL, I don't think they have expertise in building NFT platforms, right? So when it comes to the NFL, I think they're going to be looking to use an existing NFT functional platform, whether that's Flow or Chili's or anything else out there, or Ethereum, Rarible, something that adds that functionality or has that functionality already built into it. And maybe they try to white label it and use that technology, to create their own NFT, NFL NFT website. That would be my best guess there.
Bill, what do you think?
I think the NFL and related sports organizations have got problems because no one's paying $600 a ticket, or they can't fill stadiums at $600 a ticket. So if there's a way to get people excited about the sport and get them off Netflix, particularly Generation X, the NFL or the sports organizations is going to go, you know what? I think we're going to build our own blockchain system and do this. Oh my God, no. They got video clips and they are going to want to get people pumped up. It's almost like free advertising, right? It's like, oh, the NFL is cool. It's in NFTs, right? So the easy, quick way in the pandemic is the way to go. Now, pro athletes may get, like certain pro athletes, it may pay to have them build a small blockchain for their own NFTs, right? So if you're LeBron James, you don't have to go through Flow. You can grow through LeBron Chain. But in terms of the big players, they need attention now.
All right, thank you, Bill.
The second part of the question, like what can be tokenized? It's controversial. It's crazy. But it's probably partial ownership in people or celebrities. So, in other words, if you could tokenize a baseball card that has the picture of a baseball player, I can see like baseball player coin, right? Like Why go through some video provider when you can almost tokenize yourself and the token might be tied to your sports statistics, sort of like tokenizing fantasy sports, if you will.
All right, thank you, Bill. Yeah, so I think it's pretty interesting because in terms of use case, so we have music, we have art, but I think trading cards and collectibles is still the main use case, in my opinion. But pretty interesting this week. The NFL hasn't really yet hopped into the NFT arena, but their players are already doing it. NFL tight end Gronk from the Buccaneers just launched his own trading cards. And then also MVP Pat Mahomes is also teaming up with Maker's Place to launch NFTs. And I think this is really pretty fascinating because this is the drop. It's called Museum of Mahomes, and it's on Maker's Place. But I think if athletes can really get additional revenue stream and really take ownership of their own collectibles or trading cards, this will unlock a whole new way to make money for them. But I think once this takes off with athletes, what Bill said, I think now anybody can really tokenize themselves via NFTs and use that to really take back ownership and control of their own rights and collectibles. So I think that's probably the big use case coming. I don't really see real estate yet. I mean, maybe it is something I'm not getting, but I think people were thinking real estate would do well with SDOs and security tokens, but that hasn't really turned out that well. But if we go here to NFT section on CoinGecko, this kind of gives you an idea of where the market is going, right? And right now, Engine Coin has the highest market cap. Then you also have Decentraland. So people really do like using NFTs in virtual worlds. So if anything, I think video games is still something that hasn't really been tapped, right? Because I know lots of people play video games, whether it's Madden, NBA 2K, Fortnite. If all those items in the games could be turned into NFTs and people could actually buy them and trade them, I think that's a huge opportunity. So I would add that to that list. Then in terms of what was the other question? Barrier to entry with different platforms. I think eventually, right now it's kind of like a race to see which platform will get the most adoption. But eventually, people will gravitate to a platform that has the most NFTs available. So whether that's OpenSea, whether that's Rarible, eventually there'll kind of be a main platform that gets first place. Then I think there'll be other smaller niches for people who maybe want to specialize, maybe in just athletes or maybe in just music. But in terms of barrier to entry, I think it will just be movers having first mover advantage and being able to specialize and go down a particular niche. All right, but thank you. Let's go on to the next caller. Wow, we're getting lots of voicemails here. Okay, just give me 1 second.
Know what was your opinion on RGT, which is the token of Rari Capital, because I don't think you ever mentioned it, and I think it has a pretty good tech. And they are launching the new product, which is Fuse, and it allows like lending with any token as a collateral. So I would like to know if you heard of it and what's your opinion. Thanks.
All right, thank you, caller. So question was, what do we think about RGT, Rari Governance Token? So we love this project. We shared this with our customers in the last few weeks. We had a crypto deep dive newsletter on RGT, and we also did a code review, and this scored very, very well. So if you're a customer, just go on the site and type in RGT. One of the better projects we've reviewed, I would say, in the last 6 to 12 months. So definitely a legit project. For those who don't know, they're basically a yield aggregator, right? And this space is getting somewhat crowded, but solid team. Bill has also done TA on them as well. Bill, could you maybe also pull up TA on RGT?
Okay, so I've got it right here.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
Right, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so RGT, interesting methodical uptrend. Okay, disclaimer, I own RGT. The thought process behind this is pretty simple. I saw it on Twitter. Who do you want to bet on? Do you want to bet on some stodgy institution or a bunch of 18-year-olds who have figured out a way to create a money market for just about any coin on their site, effectively disrupting a lot of the big DeFi players out there? So when I talk about DeFi 3.0, I have a couple of coins in mind. This is one of them. Okay. So I am betting on a bunch of 18-year-olds because I believe all of finance will be decentralized. And if this works, these guys may wind up kind of going down in history as the kids who rebelled against the system. So investing is about the story. And in Rari, I love the story and the chart.
All right, thank you, Bill. Yeah, I would say probably like half our team has RGT because first you also own it, right? What do you think about Rari?
I've got some RGT.
Your thoughts on it? What do you think is
going? I like
the
platform, and I like. Yeah, one of the, as mentioned, the new product Fuse, where you can anyone can add and create a money market for any token. I see that as more opportunities for yield that can feed into their yield aggregator, right? So maybe the yield on a specific new token that isn't listed on Aave or a different money market platform gets listed on RGT. That creates more opportunities for yield and potentially higher yields, if not maybe higher risk yield, higher risk vaults or whatever they're called. I think they're called tanks on Rari governance or on Rari. But yeah, overall, very bullish on the platform. I like Bill said, full disclosure, I own some RGT and got in, and it's done well since I've purchased it, and I expect it to go higher.
Yeah, so actually, I was also planning to buy some, but I feel like I missed the boat because right now its market cap is almost 170 million, and if we actually delve deeper into CoinGecko here, it's from the all-time low. It's really been on a moonshot because if you bought the dip back on the 5th of November at 21 cents, it's done a 91x in 4 months, which is pretty crazy. So 91x on your money, turning $1,000 to over 90 grand, it's definitely done very, very well. Now, one other project I did actually invest in, which is in the same category, our team also did a code review on this that we shared with the customers this week, is Vesper Finance. So from a competitive standpoint, I think Rari has more flexibility, but from looking at Vesper Finance, it did well on the code review, but also did well in terms of just the tokenomics. So we have a consultant we're working with, and he's just been raving about their tokenomics. And I think after delving deeper into that, that really made me want to invest in them. So I did invest in VSP. Its market cap is about half the size of Rari. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. But tell us what you think. Anybody here bullish on RGT? Tell us down below. Okay, all right. Let's take one more call here. This is Crypto Therapy brought to you by Ifani. Go to tokenmetrics.com/Ifani to become a member. Okay.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Luis. I'm a Tokenmetric customer. My question is, I've been holding 1 inch for the past, I'll say 6 to 8 months, and I haven't seen it make any move, even though it's one of the most used platforms out there, decentralized exchanges. At what point, I would love to get your opinion, your input on it. I mean, is it the printing coins or the airdrop? What is it? Because either this is a huge sleeping giant that people haven't realized it, or something's wrong with the project, because the use case and the value, I guess, is not being matched or correlated. Or it's either the project's dead or it's a huge sleeping giant for me. So I would love to get your input on it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So basically, what do we think about 1 inch token? and why is it not moving? I mean, so I'm very, very bullish on 1inch. It's the main DEX I personally use to trade, and also use that for yield farming. I own tokens. I would say for me, it's about 5% of my portfolio. So I'm taking more of a long-term approach, because if you compare 1inch right now in market cap, it has a market cap of basically $500 million. So there are other projects as well, other DEXs. The space is getting very, very competitive, right? We have Curve, which is also about $500 million. We have SushiSwap, Uniswap. But to me, what makes me very, very, I would say, bullish or optimistic, let's just look at the traffic here on 1inch, right? If we go through in the last 1 month, now these numbers are projections, but they had 2.79 million visits last month. And actually, for comparison, let's compare this to Uniswap. If we go to, just give me 1 second, uniswap.org. And Uniswap right now is the most widely used DEX in all of crypto. And their traffic is, last time I checked, I think about 9 million. Yeah, 9.3 million. Now, if we go back here and compare with all these other DEXs, SushiSwap. So right now we're just checking out based purely on what exchanges people are using the most. So my guess for Sushi is probably somewhere between 2 and 9. But recently, SushiSwap did surpass Uniswap in terms of, I guess this is too new. But for me, long term, I would say 1inch. I think it's definitely worth having in my portfolio. That's why I have it. I'm not too concerned about the price, because I think sometimes the good projects do take a long time. For example, Matic took a long time to really rally, but once it rallied, once there was a fundamental shift, I think that really would change things, because 1inch is really integrating into Binance Smart Chain as well. And I think eventually they'll also start integrating into other protocols. And I think having that and having a DEX aggregator that has smart order routing that lets you trade across different exchanges, that's kind of the holy grail. And that's something I think 1inch has a chance of achieving. Bill, what do you think about 1inch from a TA perspective?
Okay, so many people think that a bull market is just like a nonstop party, right? I won't go through the whole humorous story, but people think that they can open a crypto account on Monday and be at a Lambo dealer on Friday. And the way it actually works is some of the best trades, they frustrate you to the point where you're like, I'm so tired of this, I'm going to get out, right? There was a lot of that going on with Polkadot at 8. It's now 4x'd, right? Mike Novogratz and Galaxy Digital, basically, one of the smartest hedge funds, if not the smartest hedge fund out there, along with Multicoin in Austin, have invested in 1inch. I think when the legacy people, or when I talk to people in legacy, I tell them to download 1inch. It looks better. And the fact that Novogratz is behind it gives me a sense that, it's going to be a high integrity platform. So be careful in bull markets about getting frustrated out of trades that you've researched and are good. In other words, if the project is no good or it goes down and you get stopped out, that's one thing. But giving up on positions is a recipe for insanity, because eventually in this bull market, everything moons. And if you give up, let me rephrase it this way. Pain is temporary. Quitting lasts forever. So if you believe in it, don't quit. And I would say that.
Hello, Bill. I think we lost the audio.
Hi, can you hear me?
Okay, I think maybe. Yes, yeah. Okay. Sorry, what'd you say, Bill?
Well, I said when waiting for something to go up, right? This happened with Polkadot. It happened with Matic. You have to try to remember something. If you believe in it, pain of waiting is temporary, right? But if you quit, quitting lasts forever. Because if you miss it and you say to yourself, oh my God, I owned it at 3 and it went to 100. In other words, don't talk yourself out of a trade, because this is one of the things that bull markets do to shake people out. They shake you out with boredom. So
all right, well said, Bill.
That.
And here, pulling up DeFi pools for DEXs, there's definitely been a flight of capital, right? So right now, in terms of DEXs, 1inch has about 100 million locked up, which is pretty low. It's down about over 6% in the last 1 day, versus SushiSwap, which now surpassed Uniswap in terms of more capital locked, which is very, very interesting, because Sushi is basically a open source clone, and for them to now become the not most used DEX, but to have the most capital locked up, I think goes to show the value add of having yield farming, because Uniswap has no yield farming, but Sushi does. And I think the issue recently in the last few weeks to maybe 1 month, I would say in the last 2 to 4 weeks, 1inch, their pools have ended, right? Because if you go in here and go to their DAO and go to farming, they only have 2 pools right now, right? OPM and VSP. All the other yield farming farms have basically ended and closed. So I think that's also played a factor. But I think, to me, that's just something that's short term for now. I'm pretty sure they'll be adding other projects that will be helpful. But that's kind of my take on that. First, any comments on your end?
Yeah, so this is going to seem like a little bit of a strange analogy, but I think 1inch is the best way to be long on AMMs as a whole, as a sector, almost as an index fund, without having to pick any specific one. So instead of having to go all in on Uniswap V2, well, what if Uniswap crashes and SushiSwap becomes the big, the big winner? Well, because 1inch is an AMM DEX aggregator, you can be bullish on the entire space by holding 1inch, which, by the way, as Ian mentioned, if I'm looking to trade Ethereum for DAI stablecoin, it's going to look through Bancor, it's going to look through Uniswap, it's going to look at Balancer, it's going to look at SushiSwap, it's going to look at Kyber, it's going to look at all these different DEXs and give you the best price. So whichever one has the best price or the best order match, obviously it's going to pick that one. In this case, I'm looking at an Ethereum DAI trade, it's picking Bancor. So that actual trade is going to benefit Bancor. But this 1inch is a fantastic way from an investment standpoint to just be bullish on the entire DEX space as a whole without having to subject yourself to the risk of going all in on Uniswap or all in on Balancer. And at the moment, as mentioned by Ian, it's got a pretty low market cap when you compare it to these other DEXs, right? It's $577 million market cap. Uniswap is actually the number one, the number one AMM DEX, but it's the number 8 cryptocurrency overall. So I almost look at 1inch as like a DEX index fund, even though it's technically not. I kind of view it at the same in the same lens as I would an index fund, because it's giving me less risk, in my opinion, than going all in on a specific AMM.
All right, thank you, Forrest. Okay, all right, so let's now switch to a new segment, crypto how-to. So based on feedback from the last few crypto how-tos, there's been lots of interest in this. So every show we'll try to go through and actually do something tangible and useful. So for this crypto how-to, we'll show you how to insure your crypto with Armor. So this is a token I've been very bullish on. It's kind of been beat up in the last month or so, but I think it's still one of the most useful products out there. So what we do is we just simply go to armor.fi, and this lets you really buy insurance on your crypto. But what I think is really about it, in my opinion, take Armor to the next level, is smart cover. If you come here, this will basically go through any wallet you have. So here I have it on my MetaMask and my Ledger, and it's going through and scanning my wallet, and it will automatically go through that. It takes about 20 seconds to half a minute, and it will recommend to me the different insurances available, right? So in this case, it's gone through my wallet, and it says here I have some liquidity on Uniswap, 1inch, Tornado Cash, Uniswap, and basically I'm going to buy insurance on all of this automatically, right? And this is pretty cool because it's kind of like if you've ever used AWS or if you've ever had any websites, you basically deposit, in this case, right? I'll be paying 0.51 ETH per month to buy insurance on all these assets. Or if I like, if you break that down, that's about 0.12 ETH per week. And they have this slider here, and you can buy insurance all the way up until for 12 months. So in this case, I'm not sure how long I'll be holding this for. Maybe let's stick with I would say maybe 3 to 6 months options. And I'm basically going to buy insurance on all of this. And I'll then deposit the funds, in this case, ETH, onto their protocol. And it will basically bill and charge me. So basically, in essence, I'm paying for every second of coverage. I think this is pretty important to understand because you're only paying when you use it. So let's say for some reason something happens and I get out of 1inch or Tornado or Uni, I only pay for the time I had it. So when I quit or exit, I still have my funds. So anyway, let me just go through this real quick. This is actually my first time doing this, so please bear with me. Top, up, and cover. Okay, I'm going to my MetaMask here. So in this case, ooh, that is pretty expensive. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. Actually, hold on. Let me just check something real quick. Okay, let's do that again. Apologies. So we'll do 3 months. Okay, now I'm confirming the transaction on my ledger. Okay, so this transaction is now going onto the blockchain. So basically, I've set about, I think, 2 or 3 ETH into Armor Smart Cover, and then it'll basically deduct from that allocation as I'm getting insurance. And that's basically it. So at a high level, they're being insured directly through Nexus Mutual. So when there's a hack, you're basically kind of pulling together your funds. And the cool thing about this is this lets you get insurance through Nexus Mutual without having to have KYC. So, okay, so the transaction has been mined here. Okay, so it does take a while for this to update. Now I'm getting a second transaction through MetaMask that I have to confirm again. Okay, so that's also processing. But anyway, I mean, so let me see if there are any questions regarding how to use this. But I think this is definitely worth looking into. Might not be for everybody, depends on how much money you have in crypto. But I think if you're part of liquidity pools or if you're investing in some risky assets, definitely worth looking into. But the riskier the asset is, the more expensive it is to buy insurance on it. But this is a way to protect yourself from getting hacked, right? So if you're concerned about smart contract hacks, definitely worth looking into getting cover. And I like this because you're basically just depositing, in this case, Ether into their platform, and it will just go through and scan your wallet automatically and buy you insurance. So it's kind of like set and forget for insurance, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, looks like it's going to take a while to update here, but that's basically it. So Brad says, is it only going to use Nexus Mutual and not other insurance protocols. Yes, correct. Yes. So this only purchases insurance through Nexus Mutual, right? So in terms of their claims, everything is done through Nexus. Okay. So in this case here, right? So I have put 0.5 ETH into the smart cover system here. And the cool thing is you can also earn rewards. You can earn APY on that. So by buying insurance, you can earn more Armor tokens, which is pretty cool. And I've been staking tokens here for a while. I covered this on some past shows, but that's basically it. So Bill or Forrest, any comments or thoughts?
I think with Armor, I'm not going to necessarily bring up the chart. They had some troubles. I think a lot of people gave up on this. All right. And then after watching that demonstration, it's pretty clear that too many people gave up because they've got a very interesting, viable product where they give you the tokens, as you said, as you buy insurance. So as crypto expands, as people go from Coinbase to 1inch, probably going to see a lot of people looking for this type of solution.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay. So now if you see here on my screen, right, it shows now pretty much this entire wallet I have has been covered with Armor, right? It shows your covered assets. So SushiSwap, 1inch, Tornado, and Uni is covered. So this is what I think about 300 grand or so on this wallet that's now insured. So if any of these get hacked, basically I'm not wrecked. And that's how you insure your crypto using Armor. Let me know what you think down below. Okay, let's go back to the live stream here. Okay, now time for us to answer questions from the audience. Let's. Okay, I think we kind of already covered this in terms of NFTs. Okay, question here. Best place to buy Ethereum options contracts for December 2021? I think this is probably a question for the traders. Bill or Forrest, what are the best places to buy ETH options in your opinion?
Do they mean Ethereum options as in ETH options or options trading on the Ethereum blockchain? Would be my first question.
I think they're talking about options on ETH because I mentioned that skew chart where the options market doesn't believe ETH can go above 2,500. So it sounds like somebody's looking to buy a call option on Ethereum's price.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't trade options, so I wouldn't be able to give a strong recommendation based off personal experience.
Yeah, me either. I mean, I know the ones. There's a CME which launched recently, but I haven't really used that myself. The ones we've been looking into have mainly been the ones on the Ethereum blockchain. So in the past, we looked into Open, but the volume wasn't quite there, and the number of assets available weren't quite there. But if you're looking for something on chain, this permissionless, or I guess semi-permissionless, Open, OPYN, is definitely one to look into. Then just the regular crypto exchanges, but I'm not sure which ones go all the way out until December. That's the question.
Right.
Maybe our audience here. So King Nick says Deribit would be the source for ETH options. Okay, there we go. Thank you, King Nick. Were you saying something, Bill?
No, I was just going to say, I just pulled up that our quant guy said Deribit.
Deribit? Okay. All right. Let's go on to, actually, sorry, a second here. Here's a question. What happens to other DEX projects on Ethereum, also other chains solving the gas problem, if Uniswap comes in with optimism and lowers gas fees, rumored to be over 100x? So basically what happens if Uniswap lowers gas fees and is fast? I think most of the other DEX projects are done. I mean, I think because Uniswap is, well, I would say Uniswap and SushiSwap right now are really the main players, right? So if we go back here to DeFi Pulse, right, over $8 billion is locked up between those two. Then if we add Curve, that's over 12 billion. So I think all these other platforms like Binance Smart Chain with PancakeSwap, yes, it's fun, but I think everybody knows Uniswap and SushiSwap, and in general, Ethereum is where it's at. And I think once Ethereum scales, with whether it's with optimistic rollups or whatever, I think people will just gravitate back to Ethereum. Forrest or Bill, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of my point about owning 1inch. I mean, do you really want to play the game right now where all of these AMM dexes are extremely competitive with each other, and there's potential for Uniswap to absolutely take off, and there's also a scenario where SushiSwap comes from behind and beats Uniswap, and there's it's very crowded. Do you really want to play the game of betting on which one's going to win and go all in on one? Or do you want to invest in 1inch where it's just going to route the trade to the winning dex of that specific trade? So I think that's just yet another reason to be owning 1inch, and then maybe have a portfolio of different AMMs to hedge your risk if Uniswap does become the winner and beats out Balancer and SushiSwap, or vice versa.
All right, thank you, Forrest. Okay, all right. Here's the question. How do you pronounce Forrest's last name? First, you want to tell our audience how to say your last name?
Yeah, so it's actually Polish. You pronounce it Przybysz. Now, the Polish pronunciation of it, I believe, is Przybysz, but that would just be even more difficult to explain to people. So we've always just said Przybysz. Pribish is how you would spell it phonetically.
All right, awesome. Okay, question for Bill. I notice you always use the USDT pairing with TA. Do you put more weight into USDT charts if there's a BTC pairing? Would you mind discussing pros and cons of each?
Okay, good question. So when I look at these things, I just generally like to look at them versus some sort of dollar substitute like Tether. I think if you look at any altcoin versus Bitcoin, it's going to be top left to bottom right, because Bitcoin has been outperforming just about everything. I know that, prior to the stable coins, basically everything was looked at in terms of Bitcoin. I think if anything, I'm actually looking at things, if you're operating on 1inch, I like to look at altcoins in terms of ETH, like the pair versus ETH. Because like a lot of times when you're swapping out ETH for an altcoin on 1inch, particularly as an American that's got a limited access and you have to use the DEXs. But for just doing straight TA, it's just easier to look at it in dollars because you get that pure look at the token rather than the pure look, or not a sort of distorted look of the token versus something that institutions like Michael Saylor are buying, right? You can't compare a small altcoin to some monstrous thing that's being gobbled up by big players.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay, people want us to look into COTI. Thoughts on COTI, COTI. Bill, could you pull that up? And for us as well, if you like. So, I mean, COTI is a decent project. They're actually winners of our Crypto World Tour event in Tel Aviv, and they've come a long way. We actually had the founder on for an interview last year as well when they launched their VIX index in crypto. Definitely worth looking into. Not a project I'm personally invested in, and I don't have any plans to invest in per se, but what they're doing is definitely something I think of value.
Okay, so very interesting. I can tell way back when, the last time we charted this, that I noticed this stop-start feature. Stop-start is usually a prelude to a moonshot. It actually did do a moonshot up to 58 cents. If you look more granularly at it, the question is, do you want to buy the dip? I think you might want to buy the dip if it gets back to 29 cents. That was the area where it kind of took off from. In the meantime, it looks like you have profit takers active. So here's how I operate with these things that have already mooned. Profit takers come in, they take their money. And the question is, does that crush price? So when you see these type of candles where it rushes up and then comes back down, okay, like it's happening right now as we speak, it means that, you know, sellers are out there. So let the sellers get done what they're doing and take it down to support at 29 cents. And then if you get that final washout, then it can go back up. So, and even if it sits still, if sellers are taking their money and can't push it lower, it means there are buyers out there. So this is one case where the answer is kind of, it depends, right? I think if you like this coin, buying it on a dip to 30 cents makes more sense.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay, so here's our simple question. Any nice gems? Yes. So actually, we shared several gems, we think, in our opinion. I would say not financial advice, with our customers recently. There was a code review newsletter that went out today. There are some gems in that one. But Forrest, any gems maybe you want to share with the audience that you've come across this week?
Yeah, so this week I found Audius. In full disclosure, I'm invested in Audius, and I have been since roughly 40 cents. I took just kind of, before I even started at Token Metrics, took a small position in Audius, and then actually reinforced that position several times to where it's now, I took a 10% allocation in my portfolio to Audius, and that's actually risen to 13% just based off of the price action alone going up recently. So what Audius actually is it's the music streaming play within blockchain decentralization, and now since they've announced it, NFTs. And I'll actually go through Audius's website here. So this is a lot of times when you're at these, looking at these sub $200 million valuation projects, they haven't even built anything yet. They've just got a plan, a team, and an ERC20 token. Well, Audius has actually built the platform, and it works extremely well. And not only that, but they've got 3 million users so far. Now, if we just take a look at their team and their team of advisors, and keep in mind, they're not a sub $200 million market cap project anymore. I think they're just over 200 million recently. But of any advisory team of a project in this valuation range, I don't think I've seen a more impressive advisory team. So you've got Deadmau5, who's an extremely popular EDM musician. You've got the co-founder of Augur, which was an extremely successful project. I think it really took off in 2017. I'm not sure how it's doing well now, right? Or I'm not sure how it's doing right now. You've got Ben Gordon, the co-founder of EA Games. You've got Justin Kan, the co-founder of Twitch. So you've got all the right people behind this, and you've got some extremely impressive backers in the form of Coinbase Ventures, Binance Labs, Pantera Capital. You've got the right people behind this to make it a success. Now, if we could compare it to something, I would compare it to Theta or maybe even Chili's, where you've got a project that can bring people in to the cryptocurrency space and the blockchain space without even them realizing that they're on a blockchain based platform, right? This is just a music streaming service. And their whole idea is to make it more rewarding, to cut out the middlemen, to cut out the profiteers like Spotify or SoundCloud and make the money actually go, make it more rewarding for the artists here. So you've got people joining this platform that aren't even aware really that it's a blockchain based platform. And to me, that's extremely powerful. I think it's something that we've seen from Flow with NBA Top Shot, where people are coming in. I think we've seen it from Chili's with sports and entertainment, and we've seen it from Theta with video streaming. So it kind of fits that proof of concept theme that's been proved out over time. I personally am extremely bullish on Audius. It scored, I believe, a 91 on my fundamental analysis review, and it also scored a 91 on the code review, which is pretty tough to do. It might have been the first project to score over both a 90 on or over a 90 on both of those. Ian might have more information on that, but extremely strong project in my opinion, and I expect it to continue to perform well.
Yeah, I mean, so the code review that should be coming out shortly, probably maybe by Tuesday. But definitely solid project. Actually, I also ended up buying some as well. Bought a small amount. It was higher. The valuation is pretty high because I think it's almost $200 million market cap. For me, it's about 2% of my portfolio. Hopefully, maybe there's a dip, so that way I'll buy more. But definitely a solid project. Earlier, I mentioned as well, Vesper Finance. I bought some of that as well. That's about 2% of my portfolio as well. I might buy more and maybe scale up into 5% of my portfolio. Bill, how about you? Any gems on your end you want to share?
Certainly. I'm over the age of 30. So the small coin game is relatively new to me, but I've got some things that I've looked into. All right. And mainly it's things that I understand that can perhaps disrupt Wall Street. Okay. This is a chart of something called PERP. It was a part of one of our crypto deep dives. Disclaimer, I do own it. PERP, as I understand it, is like a decentralized derivatives platform on Ethereum. They're going to have staking. And since I came from a futures background, it's going to help with perpetual futures for crypto. And essentially, they've got some nifty technology, and their tokenomics is really interesting. You buy PERP, you stake it, and the more people use the platform, the higher the staking rewards go, potentially the higher fees go, and the more gravy they have to share with people who own and stake PERP. The other thing I like about PERP is that it looks like everyone gave up on it in early March. Like it came out at 8 and everyone gave up on it at 4. Meanwhile, our analyst, who is either he's like a combination of Sherlock Holmes and James Bond out of England. Really like this guy. All right. And I also noticed that PERP is holding above like the last diagonal resistance point. So if you like disrupting Wall Street, if you like the idea of freedom for futures, given I used to work on the floor of a futures exchange when it was done by humans, to date myself, PERP is interesting. Now, if you really want to have kind of a laugh, I have taken a flyer into something that A, is not financial advice, and B, I had one of our analysts look into. It's called D-Hedge. It's got a very small market cap. It's got a very interesting formation in a diamond, which can lead to powerful moves if it's outside the diamond. And effectively, this is decentralized asset management. Now, is this project any good? Could I write a 3-page paper about what this project does? No. I read the 1-page report our analyst did, which was released to our customers. And I just think the idea of everybody crying about Ethereum and gas fees, meanwhile, things are being built on the Ethereum blockchain which you can think of as a premium tollway that potentially disrupt everything that Wall Street and futures exchanges do, which is fancy derivatives, futures, hedging, and asset management. This is the gravy train of Wall Street. And the blockchain universe, just like Forrest was describing how audio is disrupting, music and empowering the musicians, so do I think the Ethereum network can come in and allow traders less friction, easier access to markets and derivatives and leverage. Okay. Leverage and asset management are key, particularly if you have the run up in crypto that I anticipate. So perp and D-hedge.
All right, thank you, Bill. So actually, comment here from Crypto Gamer. He's saying, please look into the tokenomics first. Then earlier he mentioned, where was it? Problem with audio. Audio says the tokenomics 90% is controlled by the team. Okay, wow, yeah, that's a lot. Gonna have to.
I'll double check on that.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Crypto Gamer. All right, so next question. Still bullish on Benchmark and Tornado Cash. So I think this is a telling question in the sense that why wouldn't I personally be bullish? I mean, obviously for me, when I get into something, I'm not trading it. I'm getting in as a value investor, right? So I'm getting in based on code review and fundamentals and all of that. So my question to you is, it's been what, 1 or 2 months? Why would my perspective on a project change in 1 or 2 months, right? Because as a value investor, when you're getting in for the long term. You aren't getting in to just do a quick trade, right? So your research has to be very thorough to a point where you looked into a project, and once you get in, you're building a foundation, you're camping there for a long time, right? So the way I view this is it's kind of like an island. Imagine you find a nice island, right? There's nobody there. You're the first one there, and you have to really build the island. So do you go there and after 1 or 2 months leave the island? For me, I think you basically hunker down and you're in it for the long haul, right? So for me, I would say when I'm investing, I give it minimum 6 months, because I think if you're too quick, if you're too trigger happy, you'll get out of projects and you'll miss getting in early, right? Because all the good projects, in my opinion, when you get in early, sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it takes a while for things to mature, for everyone else to catch up and see how well this project is doing, right? Best case and an example, Polygon with Matic, Helium Network. We've been talking about Helium since it was under 20 cents in the last 2 years. But now people are catching up, right? But imagine getting into Helium at 20 cents and it was not moving, and you say, you know what? Am I still bullish on Helium, right? If anything, once you do your research, it should be very hard to move you, right? Now that does not mean that you can't be moved, but when you know your research, you're waiting for the market to adapt and to figure out that this is a hidden gem. That's kind of the perspective. That's kind of my perspective. Bill or Forrest, what's your perspective in terms of projects you get in for the long term?
Yeah, as long as nothing changes about the project or the ecosystem or its outlook, then I'm just being patient. Sometimes I took perfect example. I took a position in Bancor when I figured when they announced the impermanent loss fix, and it took a long time for it to go up. I think I got in Bancor when it was at $1, and meanwhile Uniswap and Balancer and Sushi Swap were crushing it, and Bancor didn't really even take off until really in the last month and a half. So it can take a long time for these projects to catch up and for the rest of the market to realize the value that's there. If you're doing your research actively, you're going to be one of the first people to figure out that there's value behind a project. So it's going to take a while for the rest of the people to come in. And that's how you should want it to be if you're wanting to get in early, in my opinion.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. Okay, so people are asking for us to look into Elrond prediction. Bill, maybe if you could pull this up, Elrond. So Elrond has been on a huge rally in the last few months, but it seems like it's now kind of coming back down to earth. I believe it's been correcting. It went to almost $200, then pulled back. Now I think it's around 150-ish or $100 or so. But I mean, Elrond, same thing with Elrond actually, because we spoke with the CEO back in 2018 during our Crypto World Tour when we went to Romania, because the teams or the founders from there. And back then they were building, and they hadn't yet done their token sale or private sale. But that's the one that got away, honestly. Looking back, we met the team, had a chance to invest, but we were just, because I think they ended up doing an IEO on Binance a year later, right? So we were, because one of our early friends who's now in Dubai, just having the time of his life with his Elrond gains, this did a 250x return to early investors. Definitely one of the better projects. Now I don't think it's gonna replace Ethereum or catch up to Ethereum anytime soon, but it has really kind of carved out its own niche in the space as a blockchain project. Bill, let me know whenever you're ready.
Okay, so Elrond, a lot of people asking about this. This kind of was a little bit like AVAX that we looked at earlier. This took off, and we use, I don't know, a little bit of a home-cooked mix for these Fibonacci extension lines. And as you can see with Elrond, the sellers were up top at 200, right at that Fibonacci extension level. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with this coin. And, there is support around 125. And there was also support at 100. So if 125 holds, that's a decent place to get involved in Elrond. The question is, as with AVAX, has this trade played itself out, right? Like when you hear a story about somebody who was able to retire on a coin, I know it's tempting to want to get into that coin, thinking that experience may repeat. My experience, it often does not. So there's nothing wrong with Elrond. 125 is support. It may hit 125 and turn around and go to 200. But as my colleague said, sometimes it's better to buy something, hold it, and be frustrated because it's not moving than to try to buy the dip on something that's skyrocketed because you're frustrated that you missed it. So I was looking at Tornado Cash, right? I know the question was about Elrond, but I was looking at this and I was like, I said, well, look at this. It looks like everybody gave up, right? So check it out. You're on the live stream. Ian Balina, who should have all the credibility that anybody should need when it comes to altcoins, is going to hodl on something that everyone just gave up on. So you want to find, I think, those give up trades or those things that aren't moving, so that when we have analysts like Forrest who discover something, it's like you want to know it before everyone else knows it. In Elrond, everyone already knows it's good. That doesn't mean it's not going to go up again. It's just, it's not exactly a hidden gem.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay. Next question here. If we are investing in altcoins of 5% each, basically, if we have 5% altcoins in our portfolio, and if a bull market ends, it turns. Sorry, I have to rephrase this question here. Let me go through the question and I'll rephrase it. Sorry. Okay, basically he's asking if we're putting 5% of our portfolio into altcoins or each altcoin with each investment during a bull market. What happens when the bull market is over, basically, right? Do we plan to hold? Do we plan to sell and then buy the dip? That's a question that would vary for each investor, right? That's obviously a very personal question. For me, honestly, I don't know, right? I would say initially my plan would be to hold, right? Because I've learned from the last bull run, good projects always bounce back, right? Like for me, my plan right now with Helium Network, I'm not selling anytime soon. That might seem crazy, but I'm so bullish on that project since day one that if anything, I wish I could have bought more, right? Because I've been trumping Helium since the beginning, and now seeing how accurate that's been, if I could have gone back and double it down and trip it down, that could have been the entire investment for the whole year, right? Helium basically made the whole year, right? Because if we go to Helium, let me pull that up actually. Give me 1 second. This is kind of the perspective I have, right? So if we go to CoinGecko and pull in Helium in the last, if you bought Helium at the bottom, it's done a 50x return, right? But so it launched on the 17th of 2020 in April at 17 cents and was flat. It went up, dipped, went up, dipped, right? So my perspective is every investment I'm getting into, there's going to be a bear market. That's something that's inevitable. And to make things even easier, just imagine Bitcoin. I think all of us in crypto are very, very bullish on Bitcoin and very bullish on Ethereum. And we think this is the future of money. Now, do you plan to sell your Bitcoin? If you're bullish on crypto long term, I think it probably makes more sense to just be a hodler, right? Because imagine people who got into Bitcoin in 2013 and they've hodled since. Now imagine being in Bitcoin at $10 or $100 or even under $1,000. Those hodlers, I mean, that's kind of where the whole crypto millionaire thing comes from, right? Because people were early and they hodled. So for me, I view myself more as a hodler. Now, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I do cash out, but I'm cashing out to buy something tangible. I'm not cashing out to try and buy the dip. That's not something I might get into more, but I'm not really a trader. But maybe once we launch our visual trends indicator, maybe that will change. But for now, my perspective is this: if anything, you should be buying during bear markets and then taking profits during bull markets. So if anything, the best time, in my opinion, with Bitcoin or any crypto for that matter, is to buy during the dips. Buy when there's nobody there. Because same thing with Polygon. Polygon was basically at 1 cent for almost a year, I believe. If we can go through this here real quick. Polygon was basically flat for what seemed like forever. Nobody wanted to touch it, right? So if we go here, right? Polygon was on 2019. You could have bought Polygon for 0.005 cents, for half a cent. And it was at this level, basically at 1 cent for almost 2 years. Now imagine you were somebody who said, do you know what? This project is good, but I'm out, I'm leaving. Hey, that's fine. But the people who still saw value in it and stayed in, they're now well off, right? So that's kind of the mindset I have is, for me, if there's a bear market, I would say I plan to hold. I mean, something would have to fundamentally shift in the project where maybe the fundamentals have totally changed. But once I go in, I'm pretty much in for a while, right? Because looking back, the winners from the last bull run were projects like Aave, Synthetics, Chainlink. I mean, basically, I learned my lesson from Chainlink. I was in the private sale of Chainlink, but at the lowest price. And I got out at a 5 or 10x, saying, you know what? Chainlink is done. I'm out of here. All right. And the rest is history. Chainlink bounced back and now became a top 10 market cap coin, right? And it's now, I would say, one of the pillars of all of DeFi. So my analysis was right, but I was not patient enough. And if anything, I think if you're really looking for not just 100x, but a 1000x return, I think patience is crucial, because sometimes you can be right, but not patient enough. And that hurts even more. The only thing that hurts than being wrong is being right, but not being patient enough. Same thing with SNX. I was in the private sale of synthetics. Then I pulled out because they changed the terms because they raised 30 million. Then they changed the terms to raise 45 million after taking investors' money. And I got pissed off of that. But had I been patient and not too into my token metrics at the time, I would have had a home run with SNX. So that's kind of the perspective I have nowadays. I don't need the money right now, so I'm willing to be patient. So if anything, I might even buy more on the really good projects during a bear market. Forrest, any comments you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think I agree with just about everything you said. I'm of the mind that me personally, I don't want to let a good bubble go to waste. So, right now, Bitcoin's at 60K. If I'm all in Bitcoin, or not all in Bitcoin, but all in crypto right now, and we head into a bear market and Bitcoin heads down to 20K, 15K, big deal. I don't think that's likely. I don't know if we'll ever see another 15K Bitcoin, but I made sure that I got in early enough that that's not a big deal if that happens. And I'm also okay with the risk. Even if I didn't get in early enough, I'm okay with the risk that comes with being in crypto, because I believe crypto is just going to continue to grow, and it's the place to have your money right now. Again, not financial advice. I'm okay with that risk. Now, if we see this bubble go exponential, and over the next 2 months, Bitcoin goes from 60K to 120, 150, 180K, I'm not going to take profits there. I'm absolutely going to take some form of profits. And if there's a dip, I'll buy it. And then just like Ian said, in a bear market, that's the time to accumulate. That's when I'm dollar cost averaging in, even to some of the bigger coins, even into Bitcoin and Ethereum. In a bear market, phenomenal time to dollar cost average in. You could have dollar cost averaged into Ethereum between $300 and $100 for just almost 2 years. There were multiple opportunities within the last 2 years to buy under $300 Ethereum. So yeah, bear market is accumulation time. Bull market is profit taking time.
Bill, what do you think?
It's amazing how many people are talking about bear markets with the market rallying the way it is. So I realize that it's kind of a dream now that the market's moving higher, that you bought it when it was at zero and no one liked it, and then it went to $40. I was in the bear market of 2018. I was an analyst when Bitcoin hit 3,000 and something. And it was so depressing to get up and go to work and look at your screens. Now, yes, it was cheap. Yes, we did buy some, but bear markets are awful. By definition, they don't call it cheap markets to buy the dip. They call it a bear market, which is a giant furry animal with sharp claws and teeth for a reason, because they will get you out. So when the market is rising, if you're in altcoins and you're not a millionaire and you've done well, pay yourself. You can keep part of your position if you have a belief that this coin is going to go up forever. But this idea where people are dreaming of going back to 2018 and being able to buy everything for zero, it's almost like they can't wait for the next bear market so they can buy. It definitely does not work that way. Frequently, when you get those type of bear markets, those people are selling the bottom. So here's a tactical way to proceed. if you own a bunch of altcoins and you get a very decent profit, feel free to pay yourself and take at least half of your profits. If you want to leave the rest of it in what we call a moon bag, that's fine. Then if it goes to zero and you want to buy more, you're okay because you paid yourself on the way up. You're not panicking and selling out of frustration. Now, the more likely scenario is that the market goes up a lot and then consolidates in a wild range. Okay? And you're like, well, that's no big deal. A range is not a problem. Oh, yes, it is. Because when you're at the bottom end of a range, especially after a big rally, it looks like it's going to zero. And you're like, oh my God, I've got to get out. And then as soon as you sell, it goes right back up again. It gets to the top of the range and you're like, the bull market's back, I'm going to buy. And then it goes back down again. So ranges can be very destructive to your P&L if you haven't taken at least some profits on the way up. A giant range will give you huge dips that will allow you to get involved. So it's not like a bear market per se where everything goes to zero, but it might be like a half off sale at a department store. So when you're right, pay yourself, hang on to what you love so that you can manage your head. Because what I tell people in crypto, your best asset is your head, your mind, right? So you got to protect your capital, but you also got to protect your mind so you can make good decisions when the time comes.
All right. Thank you, Bill. So we've been going on for about 2 hours. If you enjoyed this live stream, be sure to smash the like button, share this video with your friends, with crypto family, tell a friend to tell a friend. Not being in crypto at this point, as we keep on saying, is a financial crime. So let's wrap things up here. Bill, any last words to our crypto family?
Friends, trends always last longer than you think. In 2018, after Multicoin wrote its $100 trillion article, Bitcoin proceeded to collapse from 6,000 to 3,000, and it looked like the crypto world was ending. In this particular case, since a lot of people are talking about buying the dip or NFTs may be overheated, I understand where they're coming from, but most often bull markets don't end until people are wearing lampshades on their head, shouting out windows, oh my God, I've made so much money. I don't think we're at that point yet. So trends last longer than you think. Manage your P&L, and most importantly, manage your mindset.
All right, thank you, Bill. Forrest, any last words to our crypto family?
Yeah, I mean, I just echo everything Bill just said, especially when it comes to managing your mind, but also part of managing your mind. The way you can do that is by creating a plan and sticking to it, and have different scenarios and different contingencies built in, right? If you tell yourself that if Bitcoin's going to go to 120K, or if you tell yourself that you're going to take profits when one of your investments 10x's, not financial advice, but it's hard not to get greedy and let it ride sometimes. So if you tell yourself you're going to do something, maybe write it down if you have to, type it out if you have to, but try to stick to your plan. I think that's incredibly important to have a plan. A lot of people in this market don't even have a plan. They're just kind of throwing darts at altcoins. They're buying this, buying that. They're FOMOing in. Just having a plan and getting as much information and research aggregated as you can, whether it's from token metrics or other sources, and then creating a plan based off of that information and actually sticking to that plan, I think gives you a leg up over the vast majority of people, especially the new people coming into this market. Because this market's, when it does come crashing down, or when it does start ranging, like Bill said, it's not going to be your friend anymore. And you better, you're going to wish you had a plan, and you're going to want to stick to that plan.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. Yeah. I mean, so my last words are, recently I've been seeing lots of people who are getting nervous over an investment not going to the moon immediately. All right. And yes, we are in a bull market. And yes, there's opportunity cost of not being in that moonshot that's pumping and doing a 10x or 100x, whatever. But I would say try to have a long-term perspective. Don't get distracted with the notion that it's greener on the other side, right? Because sometimes people get into a project and when it's not moving immediately, they want to get out. And that tells me that that person is viewing things as a trader, meaning that they haven't really done their own research. So yes, we have token metrics and we do help you with research, but I think you should always be doing research in anything you're holding, because how can you know when there's a fundamental shift and then take advantage of that? So for example, with me, I had Matic Network, but it was a small part of my portfolio. It was about 1 or 2% of my portfolio at the time. But because I was keeping tabs on Matic, as soon as I saw them announce that they're rebranding to Polygon and going to do interoperability on Ethereum, that was a fundamental catalyst that changed everything. A project that I was very, very bullish on had now gotten even bigger. On that same day, I doubled down and bought more Matic. And it's done a 4x after that. And I think it still has potential. Then Coinbase added it. But what I'm trying to say is do your research. And like for me, every day when I wake up, I'm always going into all these different Telegram groups for all these projects I'm an investor in, because I want to see what the community is saying. I want to see if there are any announcements, any blogs. For example, like that's how I discovered that Armor just announced Smart Cover, which to me is something that's vital for crypto. Being able to have pretty much a platform where you go in, it scans your wallet, and you can buy insurance on everything in your wallet in one click, and then also earn tokens in that token through yield farming. I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. To me, that's actually a fundamental shift that makes me even more bullish on Armor. But that comes from me just really doing my own research, getting deep in the weeds, and learning about everything in my portfolio. Because if you have something in your portfolio, but you aren't keeping up to date on what's going on in the community, on Twitter, like pretty much every project I invest in, I follow them on Twitter, on Telegram, and I have Twitter notifications every time they post. Meaning that I could be somewhere doing something totally random, but I'll get every tweet on my phone because I want to make sure that I have the most up-to-date information to see if there's anything that will change my perspective on that project long-term. But anyway, all I'm saying is have a long-term perspective. Crypto is the future, but we're here to find hidden gems in terms of altcoins. And they call them hidden for a reason, because sometimes you're the only person there. Sometimes you're the first person on that island. That's why it's called a hidden gem. I mean, if it was something that everybody knew about, then it's not really hidden anymore, and the gains are already gone. The alpha is gone. So basically, to our crypto family, have a long-term perspective and always do your own research. Follow every single project you're an investor in, and have the most recent information, because an educated investor is a smart investor who then becomes a profitable investor. With that being said, thank you very much. And as we like to say, the moon is not the limit to the moon and beyond. Thank you, crypto family. Let's go out with crypto retirement.
Life-changing money to a point where you can buy your mom and dad a brand new house, right? You can pay off your college loans. You can invest in your future, not have to work again, pursue your dreams, your passion, not have to have a job, work that 9-to-5 grind, right? Break the system, hack the system. This is what this show is all about.
They said relax but never retire. Feeling detached, never inspired. They told me relax but I can't retire. I'm feeling detached, never inspired. Like I would live on but never rely. You know the system, AM till 5. They try to say our jobs and give on. They living a lie. Now here's the mission, die or decide. You would die. The corporate life is so redundant when you're free freedom isn't free. It comes to being someone, just believe that you can be. And how can I have hunger when they tell me when to eat? How can I lead others when they tell me who to meet? Then they tell me when to come and then they tell me when to leave. They say how much they give and then forget how much I need. It's the precious to succeed with the lessons of the greed. I question who to be and saw this message is in me. I gotta know.
Life-changing money.
I wanna work for myself, I gotta work for myself, I gotta go.
You can invest in your future, not
Raise
have to work
spirits to
again.
the moon, put nerves on the shelf, I gotta know.
Pursue your dreams, your
I
passion.
wanna stay free or want the safety, I gotta go.
Break the system, hack the system.
Although they paid me,
This is what the
they
show's
never
all
made
about.
me. I wanna relax, forever retire. I wanna detach, I'm feeling inspired. They told me relax, but I can't retire. I gotta detach, gotta decide. They got me thinking I would live on, but never rely. You know the system, AM till 5. They try to say a job's a give on, they living a lie. Now here's the mission, die at the side. You would die now. Hey, hey, I will never be a wage slave. I gotta stay made. Hey, 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 I used to see this in the 8th grade. Wasn't a day late. Hey, 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 I found the love that I was seeking, life that I'm leading. Hey, 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 now I can do this every weekend, cause I'm a free man. I was in Tokyo, riding the job wheel, the rodeo, dancing with the devil for payment. I couldn't do-si-do, but I was driven. The mission gave me an open road. Made a decision to whip him like it's a motor show. 6-figure slave, I was paid, wasn't well though. Heard of crypto underground, it became my railroad. Started making earnest money, it's for whom the bell tolls. Went from wishing for sales closed to sales. Now I can relax, forever retire. Now I'm detached, forever inspired. Now I can relax, forever retire. I had to detach, had to decide. And now I'm thinking I can live on and not just survive. You know this system, AM till 5. They try to say a job's a give on, they living a lie. I made a mission, die at the side. Do or die now, crypto retirement, yeah, that's where my mind went. Started thinking higher, now they can't hire my time spent. No, not retire like 65 when your job ends. More like an island, and if I'm by it, I buy it. Free travel, dealership, sweet dabble. I reign like Leeds Castle, you reign like Seattle. We went from sheep cattle to eating beef and mackerel at feasts. No lassos, just beliefs me in a saddle. You gotta know.
Like life-changing, like
You wanna work for yourself, you gotta work for yourself, you gotta go.
not have to work again.
Raise spirits to the moon, put nerves on the shelf, you gotta know.
Pursue your dreams, your
You
passion.
wanna stay free or want the safety, you gotta go.
This is what the show is all about.
Although they paid you, they never made you. No, we can relax, forever retire. Now we detach, forever inspired. Now we can relax, forever retire. We had to detach, had to decide. And now we know that we can live on and not just survive. We left the system, AM till 5. They try to say a job's a give on, they live in a lie. We made a mission, die at the side. Do or die now.
I'm here to put you guys on and share all the different resources and tips I come across in my journey to making $1 million and making $1 billion, right? I'm trying to share this with the world for free. I'm not here to sell you some $2,000 course, ebook, webinar, whatever, right? I'm here to put you guys on the game for free, open source, right? The same model as blockchain, Bitcoin, or these cryptocurrencies. I'm here to share everything with you guys.
Tokenmetrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.